Hey everyone, I'm Elaine Crawford, and you are with us today on Catching Up with the Crawfords. And thanks again for joining us. And today we have a special guest, and it is Corey Lamson with Classic Title. So a lot of people, as we go through the buying and selling season, a lot of people will ask us, what does the title company do? What they ask about closing costs. Sure. What does that, what all does that pertain? What all does that include and everything. So today we wanted to have Corey here to explain how that process works.
Sure. We have the role of a title company. I mean, most don't even know we exist until honestly till the end. If they've never bought a house, they really don't know we exist. They probably think we're selling, bring your title into your house, I'll give you some money for it. That's not what we do. Our job is to make sure that the title is clean and clear for the new buyer, from the seller to the new buyer, as they go through, to make sure there's no taxes owed, there's no mortgages on that property, there's no different mechanics liens on anything that could come over to the new buyer. And we're also, the main thing we're looking at, we do a 40-year title search, and that checks a chain of title.
Right.
And the chain of title, which very basically means that from the seller to the buyer, and the buyer's selling it to the new person. So our goal is to make sure all those sales, those transactions, that seller had the right to sell that property to the new buyer. Everything was warranted over to them with no problems, and that's hopefully everything is okay. There's not anything unknown that we don't see, but we do check public records. Our main thing we do check is checking for mortgages. Most people have a mortgage on their property. Everyone has to pay taxes. If you can figure out how to not pay taxes, please let me know. I'm okay with that. I don't know if we can get that done at a certain point, but that's our main goal. That's what we look for. Depending on the time of year, we collect for taxes,
right.
And we do that. That's pretty much our role. But we're pretty much the middleman for the realtor, the buyer, the seller, the lender. If there's a lender involved, there doesn't have to be for us to be involved. And we do a lot of cash transactions in the area, which there was when I got into this about 7 years ago. It was one of the things that I noticed that was different. There's a lot of people that do pay with cash.
Right.
People that do buy property from their neighbor. A lot, a house. You never know. A lot of people like to add to their land.
Right.
Well, they still need to do that title search to make sure, just because you know your neighbor doesn't mean you know their financial background.
True.
You don't expect that. And next thing you know, everything is fine. It's clear. I trust them. But they may have a HELOC on that property. They might be tied into something else. There may, there's a whole, kind of like opening Pandora's box when we do those things. We do a 40-year search.
That's to ensure.
And we're making sure that property is bought with no defects of title, that the property is clean and clear, and that we have the ability to close and feel good once you get to the closing table. You come in, we disperse checks out to the realtors and to the seller. If anything, and then any money that was coming in comes on to us. The same with the lender. So again, we are treated like a middleman, but our goal is to make sure everyone is taken care of the best thing. Our goal is really just to communicate well with them too, because it can be tough. It's not what everyone does for a living. This is we do. So we get to see it every single day. We get to talk in terms that they understand. That's our goal, just to make sure everything is okay.
One question that I have, a lot of people that have asked me is about the title insurance and owner's title policy.
Yes.
Why don't you tell what the difference is between the two?
Sure. Yeah, there's two types of title insurance. There is a lender's title insurance, which take it for what it is. It protects the lender, but it's on the settlement statement, and the buyer pays for it. So okay, what does that make sense? Why would I buy something that's going to protect my lender? It's a requirement for your loan.
Unless you put more than 20% down, are you still
it's
seeing
not
that?
It's really most of the time we deal with the secondary market, or just depends on what the bank offers. We deal with banks, credit unions, mortgage people.
Okay.
Most do require a title insurance policy because if they're going to the secondary market, they're selling it. It's already probably sold before it's even hit the table. Well, they want that loan to be backed.
Right.
They don't want someone to come back and say an heir to show up, 2 or 3 years down the line and say, well, that's actually my house. You didn't have my permission to sell that. Well, then that loan can be defunct. Well, they want to make sure they're taken care of.
Right.
And what I say by taking care of, if anything was to happen that title insurance kicks in on, that means there's a monetary loss. to the property, in which, if someone came back with rights to the property, yeah, that's a monetary loss. That's a monetary loss for the lender, which they have the first lien position. That means their loan could be defunct. We don't want that,
Right.
but that's where we come to bat. We have our
Gotcha.
attorneys that go for you, and title insurance is a one-time premium. You pay for it at closing. It's not. It doesn't go. It's on a monthly payment like most insurance, or a yearly payment.
Right.
But that's the lender side. An owner's policy, which it's offered as well, and most are bought together at closing. It can only be bought at the time of closing. An owner's policy takes care of the owner. So what I just told you about the lender being protected with their loan, if
This
something
takes
was
care
to come up with the actual property itself, in the house we're in right now, it would take care of that. If with just the lender's policy, would take care of that loan itself. The owner would probably have to go to bat for themselves. And what I know, I mean, getting an attorney, just getting a retaining fee, let's call it $1,000.
Right.
Title insurance is usually, if it's bought together, it's never that amount. Obviously, it depends on the purchase price and the loan amount, but it usually doesn't get to that point.
Right.
So
right.
that's what we do.
Well, this is definitely very good information, and it answers a lot of questions I know that a lot of buyers
Yes.
and sellers have
Yes.
when it comes to the closing process. I want to take just a quick break. I think that it might be ready. What we want to try to do with each of our segments is we're starting to go out right now to when we take on a new listing.
Yes.
We're actually interviewing the sellers and having the sellers describe their property and what it means, what their favorite things are about the home, the location or whatever. So I kind of want to show everyone an example of what we're doing for our new listings. Are we ready for that one? Okay. Another great feature about this home that I absolutely love is the sunroom. Tell us a little bit about it.
Okay, so the sunroom is probably the number one place for me in this house. It's a close second with the porch, but I love to sit out in the sunroom because when it snows in the wintertime, we can sit there and you can see all the wildlife as they cross through and make their little tracks.
Oh my gosh,
Last year we made a little snowman family, and so we got to watch our snowman family for the whole winter as long as they stayed out there. But it's just great in all seasons. You can see the flowers blooming, you can see the leaves change in the fall, the snow in the winter, and it's just beautiful. It stays nice and cozy in there. There's a fireplace in the sunroom. We spend a lot of time there with our cups of coffee, just watching nature outside. It's great.
I love it. Okay, we're back again live. So, again, guys, if there's anybody out there that has any questions regarding closing costs, regarding, how things operate, how things work, please send us a message or a text. If you are in the process of possibly listing your home for sale, or you are a buyer and you're trying to get all your costs together, and you do have questions, Corey, won't you give everyone your phone number in case someone would like to call you specifically?
Yeah, our phone number at the office is 423-753-0624. Or if you ever have any questions about closing costs, or anyone, as they start the home buying process and don't know what to expect,
Right.
as like, okay, what's a closing cost? What is that? Well, they're closing costs with the loan, with the mortgage, and there's also our title closing costs. And what I will do, if you let me know what your purchase price and your loan amount are, I can quickly get a preliminary settlement statement together, which can give you our costs are fixed except for our title insurance and loan amount. So if that was to change for the title insurance for the purchase price and loan amount, as they go up or go down, that would differentiate. And what I also like to do too, to set some proper expectations for closing. Some like to just give their cost or what's it going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I like to give you recording costs too, because part of our job is to make sure that after your transaction's completed with your deed, your warranty deed, and your deed of trust, and any other documents that need to be recorded, which totally make it legal, we take care of that. We take it to the registrar's office. There's Washington County Registrar's office is very close to us, so we go there just about every single day to make sure that those are taken care of. Also, if it's in another county, most counties now they're online, so we can just record them. Which once that's done, that takes we do that. We like to do it as soon as the closing is over. And we'll tell you why. Because it's usually a first come first serve thing with liens. So if they was say the seller had a survey on the property, and we knew about the survey, we've used the survey for the new land, which I'd always recommend. Not required, but I always recommend it, because especially if it's a big piece of land.
Oh yeah.
The surveyor he wasn't paid and found out that the closing was going to be this date. Well, he or she goes and sets a lien up the day before. Well, we update title work the day of closing to make sure that there's none of that there, because if it was, that would be a problem with the property that we would need to clear.
Absolutely.
But some things happen.
Yeah,
And
that survey situation
Yes.
that you were talking about just now. That's something that I have seen or heard of. That when it comes to like that, another
Yes.
good reason why you want that. Oh my gosh, I'm having a brain
title
blizzard.
insurance.
Yes, owner's title insurance.
Yes.
Because in the event that, especially with the large property like that, that
Mhm.
maybe it hasn't been surveyed off until recently,
Right.
or it was done a long time
Right.
ago. If they've not filed that or recorded that, and we've run into situations where a survey was done, but it wasn't recorded.
That
So-
happens. We have so sometimes we'll have surveys being done after closing,
Mhm.
which is not very smart to do.
Right.
I mean, if you have the intentions on getting a survey, I'm always going to tell you to do it ahead of time, because once the deed is completed, and if there's not a survey done and everything looks adequate and everyone agrees on it, we're going to use the same legal description from the past deed.
Right.
That's what we're going to use, and then we're going to sign off on that at closing, and then we'll have some that get a survey done afterwards. Now, we don't have to fix those. We usually do. If it's something that needs to be completed, but your legal description from your deed is what is insured. So you want to get those things done ahead of time, and not everyone knows that. But that will be a small tip that I would say, if you have any intentions on getting something like that done, the survey done, just do it beforehand, and let us know that you're doing it, because we work with all kinds of surveyors. We have, it's part of our job to work with everybody.
And we do have a lot of people who are asking, is a survey required? I can remember back years ago when we bought like our first home, surveys were required.
Yes.
Lenders no longer require surveys, unless there's like something really particular about that property or something like that. But in the event that you are purchasing a property that does have a lot of acreage, or even if it's a small portion that's being subdivided off of that is always a very wise thing. It is
I would agree with that. If it's something that's being portioned out of a bigger tract of land, yes, always it's going to we got to get a legal description some way, somehow.
Right.
So that would be a requirement. And most lenders don't require surveys anymore, but they usually ask us if we see something that's a little tricky, or we see a lot of out conveyances of land. They will ask us, hey, do you think this one needs a survey? And we don't like to say that, because we don't like to have anyone incur cost that they don't feel is necessary. That's not how we run our business. That's just not. We won't do that. That's not. But if it's necessary and we have to have a legal description for your deed, then yes, we're gonna tell you to go get one. And we know plenty of them, but we always let the borrower choose. If a realtor has a great relationship with someone, use them. We're okay with whatever. Just make sure they're a licensed surveyor that can help out.
Exactly. That's good information. Anything else that you can think of that you want to hit on?
I think we've
questions that you get.
We've hit on quite a bit. We've had. I had a question recently. Oh, actually, a good thing to talk about would probably power of attorney.
Yes,
a lot of people know they have that. They have that little snippet. They know what a power of attorney is. They say, "Oh, POA, got it."
Yeah,
we know what that is. We might not.
Right.
All of our everything. Most lenders, I say 99%, will want a very, very limited and specific power of attorney for purchasing or selling land.
Right.
It's always going to throw up a red flag to any type of underwriter, our underwriters, lending underwriters, whoever, because the person's not there making one of the biggest transactions of their lives. Selling or buying a piece of property usually is.
So if a buyer or seller typically the buyer, if the buyer is going to need to give a power of attorney to someone, say a wife to a husband or another relative or whatever, you all can prepare that power of attorney.
We can very, very easily, and we know what has to go in for. We know the requirements that are needed. The big thing with power of attorneys as well is they have to be original. You may have had one done, let's call it 15 years ago.
Right.
Well, that's going to, again, another red flag because it's 15 years ago. Well, most of the time you're getting most people think of power of attorney for someone who's gotten older, they're in a nursing home,
Yeah.
they have a durable power of attorney to take care of everything. Again, we have to make one very specific, or we'll have to read it and make sure it's got the language that we need in it, which those sometimes can work.
Right.
But a lot of times they don't, and that's okay. That's why we're here. But that we have to have the original power of attorney because it has to be recorded when you're dealing with a real estate transaction. It can be done beforehand, but as long as we have it when we're going to record the deed and the deed of trust, or if there's not one, deed of trust, we're okay.
Yeah, so they can send you like a scan and email you a copy of it, but they still have to send you that original because the original is recorded with the deed.
And that's the problem, though. Most lose them. Most lose a original copy, which is okay. Again, we may have to draw one up. It doesn't take long. Sometimes you have to hold someone's hand through that. That's okay. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's what we're here for.
I've seen the ones that y'all have done. Y'all have had to do several for clients of mine, and easy as
it's very
can be.
Easy.
It's very easy.
It's very easy if you have the language in it to make sure it looks good.
I can remember when they used to allow the real estate agents to get power of attorney for a buyer seller, and that they're kind of cutting that out now. I'm kind of glad.
I don't think they might not know anybody else. They may be moving to the area or you might be the only person that they know they can trust. I don't recommend that ever.
I know I would do it if I was the last person or the only person, but that's kind of
that's a real one-off thing, right? That's one that we don't want to have to do, but if we had to, and you say another thing that we've encountered recently, dead people, once they die, the power of attorney goes with them. You can't use a POA for a dead person. A dead person can't sign the contract.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to say it out loud.
Yeah.
I've also seen, we've had a problem with, say their house had some kind of problem and they were trying to ask if their homeowner's insurance, well, they called me and said, oh, title insurance covers that problem with the house. Well, no, it doesn't. We're worried about the title and the defects of the property, and it does insure the property itself, but the house, if it did catch on fire, that's not a title insurance.
Yeah, I've had people get confused with title insurance, homeowners insurance, and home warranties.
Yes, I'm sure. Yes, I've had to answer those questions.
And HOAs.
Yes, yes.
Who covers this? Oh,
that's right, that's why you have to get a very trusted professional as you're going through your transaction to make sure they know how to handle. That's going to
be another show. Everyone will be telling the difference between HOAs, home warranties. HOAs is homeowners associations. Home warranties, title insurance, and property owner insurance.
Jeez. No, we don't want to do, and that's what another part we do. We actually to make a settlement statement, we are responsible for those things. We make sure that those are paid at closing, and our job is to make to get paid off. To pay your homeowner's insurance, because they have to have that to get a loan.
Right.
Home warranty is just every transaction is a little different. Sometimes the buyer does. A lot of times the seller takes care of that, but we take care of that at closing. That comes out of seller proceeds. That's not. The sellers sometimes ask us, say, do we need to pay off our mortgage and bring a check and do it ourselves? No, let us do it. Let us do it. We'll get the payoff information. We'll take it out of your proceeds. Then we'll overnight that payoff to guarantee that it's there, so we can have some tracking information, because that is very important.
Right.
We don't once the closing is closed, we don't want to have to deal with it in a few years.
Exactly.
No one does. It's hard to remember what I had for breakfast yesterday.
Yeah.
So I don't want to go off of a transaction that might not have been as smooth as you want it to go.
Right.
7 years down the line, say, hey, why is my loan still active?
Yes.
So that's why we're here.
You all make sure that everything is paid immediately. Yeah.
That's why when we insure that property, we were ensuring that loan is in first lien position. Mm-hmm. And if not, if there is another loan against the property, then it would go into second. And if something, with worst case scenario, if someone didn't pay off the house.
And the payoff that you all have obtained from the lender for the home that's being purchased, if the seller has a mortgage against it or anything, that payoff, if their mortgage company does not receive it within the payoff date that you all receive, then more interest accrues. So that's why you all.
It's why it's written. We have to have a written payoff. It can't be verbal, to make sure that you want to trust people, but it's hard to sometimes,
Oh, yeah.
especially when it comes to large amounts of
human
money.
errors and
Absolutely.
yeah, just
We make sure we get those usually a
senior
few days.
moments. And
We get those a few days out on purpose because we have to overnight. So that it could be later in the day, maybe 4 or 5
Yes.
o'clock in the afternoon. We might have to, that might get processed the next morning. Most of the time, it's processed a day of, and we send it out, and we get that to them usually a day or two ahead of time, because we'll get that question sometimes from sellers. Hey, well, this is actually a little more than I owe. Why is it different than the closing date? Well, we to do that just to make sure.
Yes.
We're not. I mean, we're trying to get them as close as possible, but we don't like to get it within one day.
right.
Because
That's too
we
risky.
don't want to incur costs, and we want to make sure it does get paid off, because not all lenders are good to work with, but a lot of them are.
Right.
Especially when it comes to releasing loans, and if it's $1 off, some will be like, okay, well, I've got everything else.
Yeah.
And it might just be an extra day, or they forgot to process it until the next morning, and it got to that point. We've had that happen before, but if it worst comes to worst, that's why we're insuring that loan. So we have to make sure it's taken care of, and that's why we have our written payoff statements.
Okay.
And if it got to $5, I'll go take it down the road, and I'll pay that for them to make sure it's not a big deal for the seller, because we want to keep a good relationship with everybody and make it a great experience for all.
Well, we always have a great experience.
Yeah,
We're
we
working
do.
with you all
Yeah.
completely. So also, one of the things that we also do is we like to highlight one of our listings. And today we have, if we're ready, we have one of our listings, which is located at 3612 Lakeshore Drive. And this home is in Kingsport. And we might not be able to put that up right now. We might not be able to put it up. But that home is, I'll tell everyone a little bit about it. It is absolutely gorgeous. This home sits on Fort Patrick Henry Lake, and has one of the most beautiful views. It's currently listed at $599. And just incredible. Like I said, I could go on and on and on, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get it pulled up here. Are we going to be able to list it, or show it?
Still have water too.
Huh?
Still has water there,
and it
right?
still has water,
Yeah.
people. Thank you, Corey. Yes. It is a fabulous location. It's right there in the Colonial Heights area.
Yeah.
So whether you're needing to go to downtown Kingsport, come into Johnson City, go to Gray, Bluntville, Bristol, it is such a great location. It's located in a cul-de-sac. And what's really, really cool about this cul-de-sac area is it's right at the end where you get the benefits of, you're not in a HOA situation, but you get the benefits of knowing that everyone around you, because that's one of the things a lot of people say about lakefront living, is that you kind of have a hodgepodge of all different kind of homes around
absolutely.
you. There we go. Oh my gosh, love this home. So as you can see, the owners have done some gorgeous work to this home. Look at the views of this lake. Just insane. And it's also, if you can see, it sits on the main channel, plus it has a private cove area. There's 2 docks there, one that was for to tie the boat up to, jet skis, and then the other one to party from.
That's a beautiful house.
Just beautiful. There is located upstairs, there's 3 large bedrooms, each with their the master has a full bathroom, and it also has a deck that leads out out of the bedroom, where you can sit there and look at the views. There's 2 additional bedrooms and a laundry room on that upper level, and then it also has an additional bathroom. The main level has a huge living room, large kitchen, dining area, beautiful screened-in porch, a huge den, and then the 2-car garage, plus a half bath. And then the basement area has a media room. Every one of these rooms has got gorgeous views of this lake. 3 more additional rooms that could be used that are as bedrooms, and have been, with each family that's lived there. And again, like two more full bathrooms. So This home has got, it's built for entertainment, pleasure. So anyone who wants to see that home, give us a call. We would love to make an appointment for you to take a look at it. Corey, it has been great having you here.
It's an absolute pleasure.
We love our Corey in the house. So thanks again for joining us on Catching Up with the Crawfords. I've got my new little Catching Up with the Crawfords, 2 C's. See it? Do you see that?
Okay.
Catching Up with the Crawfords. That's what that means. That's 2 C's. Curious. Yes, that's 2 C's.
I thought you were showing me a new dance move I didn't know of.
Well,
yet.
we can.
If we can start that, put it to music, we can make that work. Okay.
We'll do that. We'll put our dance moves to our Catch Up with the Crawfords. So, but thanks again, Corey Lamson from Classic Title. And again, anybody that has any questions down the road, don't hesitate to give Corey a call. Give your number one more time.
Our number is 423-753-0624. And if you need to email us, info@Classic Title Insurance. That's all spelled out. Yeah, that's all we do there. All spelled out. ClassicTitleInsurance.com. And you can get us there. You'll get me at that point. And if you all have any questions about closing costs or why it's important to have title insurance, whatever you need, just please give me a call, email me. I know a lot of people like to email. That's fine too. But we're always here to make this experience as good as possible. And hopefully, we get to that moment, we get to the end of the closing table, take that great picture, right?
We have to have a picture.
Get excited about it. Put that up in your house one day because it's usually a day you're never going to forget.
That's right. So, it's one of the biggest days ever. Thanks again, everybody, and tune in with us. We'll let y'all know when our next segment will be of Catching Up with the Crawfords. We look forward to seeing y'all again.